it can sometimes be a curse or a blessing for a writer not to meet the people that he's writing about. In my case, I spent the last 3 or 4 years writing about people I've not met at all. But you've met quite a few of them. Do you mind if I just reel off a few names and just give me your impressions of them? You met former Surgeon General Koop a number of times.
Yes.
How did he strike you?
I think he's an intelligent man, but I think he should have gone with the MSA before it was shot down. I think he made a mistake with David Kessler, and I think he made a big mistake, and I'll never forgive him for it.
Okay. Alan Bloom was from Doctors Order Care, one of the first people you got involved with, I think.
Alan Blum is a pretty smart guy. I think he's excitable. I think he's telling the truth. I think he knows what he's doing as far as his statistics and what he's saying to be true on the medical side. But I don't think he has a clue how to reach kids with an approach that makes sense. I think he's too fanatical, and I think he's a revolutionary for the wrong reasons.
Okay. John Banzhaf, did you meet this guy?
Yeah. I met him in Washington. You're talking about from ASH, right?
From ASH, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like him. I think he's an egomaniac. I think he's a Michael Moore wannabe, meaning the documentarian, taking on all these issues. And I personally think the man should lose 50 pounds before he starts talking about somebody being overweight. That's my opinion.
Okay. Simon Chapman, the Australian guy, edits Tobacco Control.
I think he's putting too much intellectual information out there. I think instead of common sense approach, I think the intellect is overwhelming for people, and he's turned off by people. I'm turned off by him, and I'm in the movement. Okay, as far as the issue, and I'm not interested in what he has to say because I think it's just over the top academic and intellectualizing.
Right. Jeffrey Wigand, you good friends with him. Jeffrey
Wigand's a good friend of mine, a very, very dear friend of mine. We see each other every couple of years at an event somewhere. Totally believes that kids shouldn't smoke. Really believes that with all his heart. I think he got a little affected, as I would have if they did a movie about me. Okay, I think he became a little expensive, a little pricey, but I think the value you get from a Jeffrey Wigand is worth it. I think he's got a ton of information. I'm not sure where he's been in the last year or so, but I do know that I've traveled around and either been there before him or after him, and people have liked his approach, but we're different people. He's good with the corporate, the executives, and the businesses, and I'm good with kids.
Okay, and finally, I think we've maybe covered him already, but Stanton Glantz of Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights. And in fact, what do you think of Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights as well? We haven't really mentioned them.
I don't listen to a thing they say. I don't read anything about them. I don't keep up with it. I don't like their attitude. I don't like their approach. The people, I don't know if Julie is still there or not.
Julie Carroll.
Julie, I'm not interested. They haven't used me when they could have. I asked why. They never gave me a reason, so I just think it became personal.
Yeah, okay. Right, just a final question. We haven't got much time, but I was going to ask you finally, how much hope do you have for the future of the tobacco control kind of reeling itself in from this extremism and going back more to the information and the education that you're involved in?
Well, I think the tobacco control ship has sailed. I think it's done too much damage. I think now with the new legislation that's coming in and the FDA, being involved in controlling a tobacco product, which I think is absolutely asinine. I think that the FDA is supposed to control drugs that are good for you, prescription drugs, over the counter. I think the FDA getting involved is just going to make this matter even worse. I think now with the new announcement today of the Department of Health and Human Services, the new legislation that's being introduced by Steve Byer, who's a congressman in Indiana today, they're trying to come up with this new Youth Prevention and Tobacco Harm Reduction Act. I think it's absolutely absurd to have this legislation introduced by a congressman from a state that has failed in all areas of tobacco control in the last 6 years. It just makes no sense that these people are doing this. So I have no hope.